So the Steam sale is going on right now, like every year, and I'm thinking, why even bother? Of course, there's no real problem with Steam. Steam is pretty decent. It has a few flaws, but it's one of the rare times where I'd want a company to actually have a monopoly because everyone that's been trying to take the crown off of Steam is an absolute fucking clown and they just make Steam look better. And it can curate up to a certain point, but the problem is that we have an industry-wide infection, and you know what I'm talking about. The problem is in three parts. First part is that, well, the industry, especially the AAA industry, is just dog shit. Just too many people working in a studio, overinflated budgets, the industry is just too big for its own good. Problem number two, propaganda, and problem number three, that's more of a personal thing, but there are some games for technical reasons I don't want to play or replay. I was eyeing the Crash Bandicoot trilogy remake, but I already played Crash Bandicoot 3 as a kid. I replayed it, and then I replayed it a third time 100%, and after doing 100%, I'm kinda tired of it. Crash Bandicoot 2, I already 1%ed it, and Crash Bandicoot 1 is the only game in that trilogy remake that I really want to play completely for. I know I would only play Crash 1 and then not touch the trilogy again. But let's go back to that first problem. So we know that the AAA industry is just horrid right now. And so a lot of people claim things like, well, if you want to play video games, you don't need the AAA industry, you always have indie games. But the problem is that, what is an indie game right now? Because there are legitimate indie games, but even those have the problem of, well, being made by people that are ideologically possessed. So a game like En Garde looks cool, but then you go on the website and you see that everyone has dumb pronouns like they, zer. The people who made 80s are probably not sponsored by any form of government, but you can tell that they drank the Kool-Aid. And then you have games that are actually sponsored by the government, or probably are sponsored, games like Dustborn, and you know that they have the touch of either the government or Sweet Baby Inc. So since last night, all I've been doing in the hot summer night and the hot summer days has been to browse through the entirety of the Steam catalog and try to find something that appeals not just to me but just to a normal human being in general. And the things that I like are few and far between at this point. Because would you believe me that even racing games have been touched? I was looking to have my fill of A, platformers, and B, racing games because of Yellow Taxi Goes Vroom. The two cross each other, and so I'm looking for more platformers and more racing games. And even racing games have the bisexual lighting. Inertial Drift has a really cool design, but what the fuck are these characters? And all of this is assuming that the gaming in question is actually any decent. So a lot of these games are either possessed by ideology, or they look cool but then you look at the reviews and for various reasons outside of ideology, while the games have mixed to positive reviews. So I browsed like an idiot for hours trying to find a racing game, and the problem is that I want to escape, but it always leads me back, right back to the past. I always end up playing some pixel shit, or in this case 32-bit games. The game that interested me in question is Parking Garage Rally, which is an homage to the Naomi arcade games made by Sega, or things you would have found on the Sega Saturn or the Dreamcast. And then in my quest, I keep looking, and I'm reminded that all the things I look forward to are always things that borrow from the past. I'm looking forward to Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, I'm looking forward to the new Shinobi, and I also discovered in my search that there's a new Terminator game based on the second movie that's going to come out in September. But again, I think that 2D is not just a nostalgia thing. I think that 2D should be a style that keeps existing in the future. When we talk about the state of the industry, I'd like there to be an actual AAA industry that pushes the boundaries and that does new things that aren't just recycle from the past. I should have added a fourth category. A lot of the games I looked at just look plain boring because they just look like recycled versions of games you've known before. There's so many Doom clones now, boomer shooters, and they all look the same. The initial point of these games was to, yes, copy on the trend, but eventually they found their own personality and threaded outwards. And now it's like the Big Bang. Everything will now recess and then collapse on itself, and everything looks the same. So now I have this, again, $1,000 computer, but what do I play on that computer? Oh wow, I play video games, but specifically pixel shit based on franchises that were spawned in the 80s or early 90s. And to be fair, I'm not saying these games are bad or look bad. Like I said, I look forward to these games, but I like to have something that's a little bit different, or at least adds a little bit of spice on an existing formula, and B, enough with the bisexual lighting. What the fuck is even going under? We've reached a point where not even indie games are safe. I have to make research to tell if my indie games are woke. I've had enough. This is horrible. This trend needs to stop. But it's not gonna stop because there's so much money behind it. All this to say that I've spent an excruciating amount of time on Steam trying to look at the front page, trying to go through each category, and every time I've had the same problem. The game is either AAA or, like AAA games, has a lot of anti-consumer issues and practices. The practices that just destroy modern video games. Expensive DLC, a game that barely functions, too high of a budget, too many people working on it, vast, needlessly empty open world. Then, and that's the biggest issue, it would just be propaganda. It would be a metaphor about something. And that doesn't mean that the game is necessarily good, but I don't feel comfortable playing a game like that, because that's the thing. It's that it's good at first to try to ease its way into your mind, and then a lot of, not just games, but just media that has propaganda like that gets worse in every iteration. And sometimes your money goes places you don't want it to go. And the final problem is, that's more personally me, but sometimes I wouldn't buy a game for X reason. That's it's a me problem. Maybe I don't own the game, but I've played it on Welfare Pass, so I don't care about playing it anymore. I've seen what I had to see, and other such reasons. So yeah, after buying just a couple of games, I think I'm going to save my money in this Steam summer sale.